The other day I was watching this healthy gamer, Dr. K interview, and there were some interesting moments there. And by the other day, I mean a couple months ago. I just couldn't get around to making this video then. In the interview, you notice lines that are quite uncharacteristic of Dr. K. I mean, nowadays it is much more common for fake empathizers to pop up on the internet and pose as if they empathize with men. Especially guys like Dr. K, who charges men 600, 700 a month just to be in a Discord call with some random dude, some random with no certification. There's this fake concern without being real about it, without being real about the nature of the problem. You see this fake concern in that interview as well. They think or pretend they are being understanding and helpful. But again, it is just virtue signaling. I will just play some clips from that interview.
Once you accomplish your goal, your mind moves the goalposts. So you got promoted to vice president, now you need to be director, then you need to be managing director, then you need to be, there's always more. The mind always wants more. So chasing after all of that will never lead to lasting happiness.
It is funny how he didn't get the same treatment before actually becoming successful. Would he still be happy if he wasn't a rich, successful businessman? That is the question. Funny how that inner peace didn't bring him all the positives he's mentioning up until the money followed through.
And so instead of trying to be something great, I just focused on, small targets. I sort of focused on my spiritual practice. I tried to become a monk and take vows at the age of like 22, and my teachers rejected me. So I said, I'm ready to forsake my life. And they said, you have nothing worth giving up. Your life is meaningless. Like you have nothing worth giving up.
Even his own monk told them, look man, it is over. Go acquire materialistic stuff first. Go get the money. He gave him a reality check, guys. Go do something, Which is funny because to me, the way I see it, this is the monk admitting that their whole Vedic philosophy is pretty much BS, a facade. He was like, hey man, we are trapped here in India coping with our misfortune by becoming an MTAV monk. Or we are giving up the worldly desires. It is easy to give it up when you can't get it anyway. He kept it real, dude. It is all a coping philosophy for unfortunate people. You, on the other hand, are an American who attends a prestigious university. You can make good money. Go make money and buy yourself a wife. Dr. K should have known right there and then that this Vedic philosophy, becoming an MTAV monk, is just a facade. Just be happy with nothing. Shed yourself of worldly expectations. Be spiritual. Turn into inner self. In life, there is only what you make out of a situation. Basically, the whole notion that denies determinism, right? This is the philosophical wing. And the psychological wing of this branches out to the Adlerian psychology that denies determinism, which I am vehemently against, of course. There is no such a thing as the past or the trauma, only what you make of it. I will make a separate standalone video on Adlerian psychology. That is in my list. A rebuttal video against Adlerian psychology. But it is funny how that monk actually gave him a subtle BP. Dude, we are trying to cope here. You don't actually need to follow this. You don't need to go monk mode. We are pretending here as if it is our choice to turn down our worldly desires. We don't want it anyway. And he still didn't get it. Dr. K he got it. He got it but decided to sell it. Sell it to gullible men.
And now since I don't have any internal source of information, I'm trying to figure out what it means to be a man from the outside world. And this is when men get truly f***ed. Because what it means to be a man, we are getting all kinds of mixed signals. So on the one hand, it means being physically fit. On the other hand, it means being a provider. On one hand, it means having sex with as many women as you can find. On the other hand, it means having sex with just one woman and being a really solid man and being a good father.
But the thing is, that always existed, man. That was always there. What he mentions was a thing in the past as well. It was just easier in the past to be a man, to be a provider. Being manly and being a provider, being expected of men is not something new. It was easier for men to do that before because the social economic landscape was completely different then. Women didn't work. There was a stigma of divorce. Sure, the tech accelerated it majorly. But what Dr. K conveniently doesn't mention here is this social change. He's only looking at the technological change. and blaming people like Andrew Tate. Oh, men go on the internet too easily and watch Andrew Tate. Oh, social media is just showing us the best of the best and makes us not turn into inner self. Bro, those expectations shaping our behavior was there even before.
So men in today's society are not allowed to complain. So if you complain and you're a successful person or a privileged person, everyone is going to think you're arrogant. Everyone is going to think, oh my God, who's this guy? This guy doesn't know what my life is like. How does he have any right to complain? And even your mind will tell you this. You'll look at these people and you'll be like, yeah, I don't have a right to complain. But now we need to stop for a second and think about what it does to your psychology when you as a human being are not allowed to articulate your suffering. I've worked with people who've grown up in abusive households where children will say to their parents, Mommy, Daddy, I'm hurting. And the parent smacks him across the face. How dare you? You're so lucky. You don't realize the sacrifices I make for you.
This I have to agree, 100%. My family was exactly like that. Whenever you try to voice a problem you have, or the sacrifices we made. Look at homeless people. There are kids missing limbs because their father threw them into a pit of crocodiles. Be grateful. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Traumatizing to the child when they say, I am suffering and no one listens. This is what we're doing to the generation of men. People are saying, I am suffering. For 100 years, men have been killing themselves. 80% of suicides are men. The most dangerous thing for a man under 45 is themselves.
But when they complain to you, what do, Mr. K? You gaslight them and tell them it is just in their heads and that they choose to feel that way. Remember that footage I have showed you in my Dr. K video before? Oh, you just feel that way. It isn't real.
So what is this person's problem? They feel unloved. Why do they feel unloved? Because of the way that people treat them. Makes sense, right? You're treated in a way that feels like it's disrespectful, so you result in feeling unloved. But the thing is, that's just your interpretation of it, right? Like, that's just your interpretation. It's a feeling. It's not actually a reality.
It will look like that I could read you, but actually, I'm just asking you where your wound is and sticking a knife in it.
And when you're sitting across from a woman and you feel that hopelessness, catch it, look at it, and laugh in his face.
And then when you cry, and if I'm okay with you crying, it appears that I'm okay with you crying because I'm very empathetic and making space for your feelings. Actually, I'm okay with you crying because I don't really care.
So the question that begs to be asked here is there any difference? One might argue that what you do is more sinister.
So the number one thing that correlates with male suicide is not depression, and this is super scary. There's one study I saw recently that suggests that 50% of men who kill themselves have no history or evidence of mental illness. And this, I believe the statistic in my clinical practice because I know what depression looks like. I know what bipolar disorder looks like. And half the men that I've worked with, at least, are not actually mentally ill. See, mental illness means a pathology of the mind, which means that the mind is malfunctioning. Most of the suicidal men that I work with, their mind isn't malfunctioning. They genuinely have a life that is no longer worth living. They're looking at things and objectively realizing that there's no way out of this situation.
This is very uncharacteristic of Dr. K. Unexpected line out of him. Because he has always been, it is all about what you make out of a situation. Anyone can change. Anyone is capable of changing their lives. This directly goes against all the lies he has been spreading, he has been telling men, just to make more sales, just to make more money. Again, I think men like Dr. K and successful gaslighters are smart enough to know about the truth, but it is just not convenient and lucrative enough for them to tell it as it is. That is what it boils down to, unfortunately, money.
So they turn to suicide. So I know it's kind of like a very controversial statement, but I think that's what my clinical practice has shown, and there's some research to even back that up. So if we sort of look at what's going on with men, we're sort of, they have nowhere to turn to, and the number one thing that correlates with it is not mental illness, but is a sense of thwarted belongingness.
Longing to belong. This is actually the source of nearly all cops. All cops. I have mentioned this a couple videos earlier. Football, soccer fanaticism. Supporting a soccer club your identity, right? Trying to belong and find protection from the mock otherwise. And when I made that video, funny, there was actually a double-digit IQ commenter. Oh, Rehab doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it. It ain't about the sport itself. Those people become your community, your lifestyle. They become your family, right? Which was my whole point. Thank you. Thank you for proving me right. That was my entire point. You are trying to find refuge from the mock. Oh, I belong to this group. I am superior to a guy, to a 6'4" good-looking guy. Longing to belong is partly the source of other copes like religion and politics as well. Not the biggest one, but one of the 4 main motivators behind it. I will talk about it in a different video. But we just want to belong. We want to fit in and connect. Humans are social animals, man. So when we face challenges, building that connection, like to belong, being liked and protected naturally, they turn to cops and try to find that connection through artificial means, whether be it football fanaticism, extreme political coping, or anything.
So it's specifically a very specific research term called thwarted belongingness. So I try to belong to a group, and that group, or multiple groups usually, will thwart my attempts to join the tribe, to join the community.
What is the remedy to this?
So I think the first thing is we must reconnect with ourselves.
Funny how you didn't find that inner peace and that wife of yours before you found money when you were a nobody. He admitted himself, guys, he never got any attention from girls before. What did he do? He decided to go to India to become a monk, only to get told, hey man, we are just coping here. He said it himself, guys. You connect the dots.
Right? So when you're kind of saying like, why does everyone think, oh, I need to like achieve this, I need to make this money and things like that. Where did you learn that you should do all that? You learned all that from the outside.
Instagram,
right?
Again, he thinks this expectation is not real. It is just something you see on Instagram. If it wasn't for Instagram, you wouldn't have it. Oh, shed yourself of worldly expectations. Brother. These people act like the effects of social changes are not real. The parameters for men changed dramatically. You said it yourself, man. You spilled the truth. For a second, there was a crack through your lies. For a lot of men, their lives absolutely suck. What do you think has led to that? Those guys don't have looks. So, when you are not that guy, looks-wise, what is left? Money and status. The great equalizers, right? Because Sabbath men Sabbath men know that if you are not making big money, you are worthless to society, since you don't have looks either. Money is the only way you can get respect, you can get attention. Because unfortunately, this is the world we are living in. With a single swipe, women can replace you. You are competing with everybody around the world at all times. That is why today it doesn't matter which approach you choose. Cold approach, warm approach. If you don't have the looks, she can replace you with a single swipe on their phones, like ordering a pizza. Oh bro, cold approach is one-on-one. It is not online. Cold approach is better because you are not competing with profiles on Tinder. Doesn't matter, brother. As long as she has access to a phone, you are expendable. One swipe and you are out. I am not joking, man, when I say this. It is easier for an average woman to set up a date tonight with some decent dude than for you to order a pizza.
So I'll give you a simple example. So like I used to get bullied a lot, right? So when I get bullied in school, like what am I supposed to do, Stephen?
Turn to Hindu philosophy, of course, to try to cope with it, to cope with bullying and the lack of action. We ain't gotta guess, brother.
So if I'm feeling insecure, if I'm feeling ashamed of myself, if someone's bullying me, what do? I put them in their place.
You mean buy a plane ticket to India to become a monk, right? Oh, my bad. That was before you found the money.
So it's very simple. So if you look at your idea of what it means to be a man, what percentage of that idea comes outside of you? And what percentage of that idea comes from within you?
About 90% comes from outside of me.
And that's why 90% of people, we're 90%.
Again, this Hindi philosophy, turn to inner self, ignore the worldly desires. But guess what? You can't ignore. You can't ignore outside input, outside expectations. Your inner definition won't change the experiences you are gonna go through, the ringer you are gonna go through. Won't change the way you are treated otherwise, which is gonna shape how you feel consequently.
Where is the goodness in your life? Where does it come from, Stephen? It doesn't come from what other people have told you.
It comes from having a YouTube channel with millions of followers, of course. It comes from making the bank while not working a life-sucking 9-to-5 office job, being locked up in a cubicle. Yeah, dude, I am sure he would be mentally where he is right now if he had to work 15 hours a day. Sure. Like, these people are just talking out of their asses, man.
They may have told you something, but then you looked within yourself and then you found that to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. All that good stuff comes from inside of him and not from his financial situation. I am sure he would have the same validation and happiness in life if he was just a regular Joe financially. I am sure that inner talk would have produced the same results with the external world. What do you even say to this man?
And as it's grown, what have we done? We've demonized these people. We've said these people are bad. And as we demonize them, what's happened? They've grown stronger. So this is something that's very important to understand. If you are a man and you say, I am suffering today, what is the response that you're going to get?
Shut up.
This is exactly the problem. So men are struggling right now, and the rest of the world says, no, you're not. You're privileged. You're a man. There's a patriarchy. And I'm not commenting on the sociology of it. There is a patriarchy, whatever. Men have many advantages in life. I've experienced many advantages of being a man. It's absolutely true.
Everything you say afterwards is rendered pointless because you just agreed with them on principle. You can't move forward and backward at the same time. It doesn't work like that. When you say that, you are not much different than people who tell men to just shut up. Because what it effectively means is, yes, patriarchy is real, but you shouldn't be saying that to people. To hurting men complaining because it might hurt their feelings. You may not say this like this, but you do make it sound like they are just being whiners, complaining despite having patriarchy and male privilege. And I ask this to people who believe that. I ask this, and I have never gotten a proper response to this. What are those many privileges of being a man in the West? Don't give me examples from Afghanistan or Russia. What are those privileges of men in the West? I am all ears, honestly.
So for years and years and years, we have ignored the struggles of men. And there's one group on the planet who accepts them with open arms. And the more that we demonize them, so when someone starts believing in this toxic masculinity, what is the response? Do people ever ask, like, help me understand what your life is like?
Here's the problem though. Dr. K might sound like he's making sense here, cause yes, people do vilify and demonize them, but he still thinks people who vilify and demonize are actually right on their views. The problem is just the way they go about it, how they do it. Dr. K is actually on their side, 100%. He believes patriarchy exists. He believes all the mumbo jumbo. He's just acting as if he's on man's side, so he can flourish his gaslighting business. That is all. Playing both sides.
So there is one group of people on the planet who says, yes, your life does suck. And that's these toxic masculine people. They're the only people that truly validate men's experiences. Because everyone else says, why are you complaining? And these guys say, yeah, you're a loser. What are you going to do about it? They at least meet you where you're at. And they say, yes, your life is hard, and I will show you a way to make it better.
100%. I made a video about this very topic. My first video on this channel is literally on this exact topic. Why Andrew Tate's message connects with 80% of all men. My very first video.
2, 3, hold that sledgehammer in the air, both hands. Like a bench press. Like a bench press. While kicking.
What would be a better approach versus just banning the computer and telling them that that's toxic and not to look at it?
Help me understand what you like about this. What is it like to be a man in today's day and age? How do you feel about yourself? How does it feel knowing that 70 to 80% of women want you to make more money than them, and yet 60% of people who graduate from college are women? So men are living in a world today where there are impossible expectations to meet.
He slips and spills the truth once again, unintentionally. So that expectation is real and widespread. It is not some make-believe Instagram story.
And so, like, what is it like to be someone who fundamentally has no chance at success? Right? These are the kinds of things that you need to say to these people. You need to give them an alternate place to go where they can be heard and helped, supported and understood.
I mean, yes, I agree. Not that he's incorrect here, but like, it isn't gonna move the needle. Earth, what is it gonna change, bro? how being hurt is going to create change that matters. Maybe some relief, sure, but it is not gonna solve the problem he refers to. The problem of men flocking to Andrew Tate, right? It ain't offering any real solution when it comes to that. That is why it can't compete with what Andrew Tate offers to those people. That is the crux of the issue. Unlike me, Andrew sells a solution. Regardless of how fake and BS it is, people will always pay for the solution, no matter how unrealistic it is, not for the uncomfortable truth that they are trying to avoid.
Someone needs to start offering these people safe haven.
You might even say just a place to talk about their problems. But this will be pretty much it for this video. I'm not gonna talk about the entire thing. Don't be afraid, gentle life.